Daf Pei Aleph Amid Beis will begin Daf Pei Aleph Amid Aleph, 3 lines from the bottom. We're holding in the middle of a Shaila, Rav Yosef Shaila, that the Kain who's Maratza with the Tomid is the Tumas HaTahaim, is that Hutrale. Assuming that we say that the Tumas HaTahaim, that the Halach L'Maish Mesina, that the Tumas HaTahaim is Maratza for the Kain, that Kain that does the Avodah. And if we say that that is Maratza for the Korban Pesach and for the Nazir, do we also say it in the case for the Tomid, for the Kain that is doing the Avodah, that for the Korban Tomid? Omer Rabba says, Kal v'chaymer. We can learn from a Kal v'chaymer. Madach in a place where a Tumah Yadua is not Hutra. By a Korban Pesach, if a Yachid, if it's not the Tzibur, if it's a Yachid, that there is Tumah, known Tumah, it's a known Tumah, and the Bailam is Tomei, the Korban, it's not Maratza. But nevertheless, Hudala Tumas Hatahaim, but nevertheless, if it's a Tumas Hatahaim, it's an unknown Tumah, then it is Maratza. Malkam Shutal Tumah Yadua, in a place where the Tomid is a Korban Tzibur, then even if it's a known Tumah, that there is no Tumah there, that it's Maratza. So therefore, certainly we should say, in Udin Shutal Tumas Hatahaim. So certainly we should say that the Tumas Hatahaim should be Maratza, it should be Hutra. Omre, they say no. It's not a riot. You can't learn this Kal v'chaymer, because of Midainin Kal v'chaymer halacha. Can we learn out a Kal v'chaymer from a halacha Moshe Sinai? Can we apply from halacha Moshe Sinai from one place to another place through the medium of a Kal v'chaymer? V'atani, we learned in the Brayz Hamar Lezer Akiva etzem keser halacha, and Ravi Dam Kal v'chaymer. We don't learn out a Kal v'chaymer from Halach L'Maish Sinai. Rabbi Kiva wanted to say as follows: Madach, if we say that an etzem keser, a bone the size of a barley seed, it's seises the naziras. If a nazir became Tomei with that, it cancels out his as he forfeits his days of naziros. So Madach, in that case, the etzem keser is not matama ba'oil. It's matama b'magamasa, but not matama ba'oil. And yet we see that it's seiser the naziros. So Ravias Adam, if there's a Ravias Adam which is matama ba'oil, if it isn't an oil, whatever is under the oil within that oil becomes tomei. Kal v'chaymer, so it should cancel out the days of the naziros by a nazir. So it's a Kal v'chaymer Rabbi Kiva wanted to make, and Rabbi Elazar says ein danim Kal v'chaymer halacha. So here also it's a Kal v'chaymer, but you don't learn out a Kal v'chaymer from Halach L'Maish Mesina. We learn it through Gzeir Shava. It says Moeda in both cases, by the Tomid and by the Korban Pesach. So just like by the Korban Pesach, we have a Halach L'Maish Mesina, that we say that Tumas HaTahaim is Hutraloim. So too, we say it by the Tomid. In fact, it's Lach. Why don't we say the same thing? Why don't we say Ein Danim Gzeir Shava Me Halacha? Just like we say Ein Dam Kal v'chaymer, I'll say the same thing. Gzeir Shava. They're both one of the cases of the Yud Gimel Midas. So therefore, we should say in both cases Ein Danim. Slach answers that the Gzeir Shava is not exclusively for the case of the Halach L'Maish Sinai. We have a Gzeir Shava, Moeda, Pesach, and Tomid. We learn out halachas one from the other. Now this is a Gzeir Shava, that is, you're learning out from one word in the pasuk to another word in the pasuk. You're learning from the Torah Shebiksav, one from the other. And Mamela, therefore, we can expand on that and extrapolate to include also the Halach L'Maish Mesina that's mentioned by Pesach and apply it to the Tomid. But to learn out the Kal v'chaymer from the halacha, which is only from the Halach L'Maish Mesina to another place, to learn out the Kal v'chaymer from a Halach L'Maish Mesina that's mentioned by Pesach to the Tomid, then that's only learning out from Halach L'Maish Mesina from a Kal v'chaymer, and directly from Halach L'Maish Mesina, that we don't do. Well, we're learning all the time that by Nazir and by Pesach, there Tumas HaTahaim, the unknown Tumah, there it's Hutra. Where do we know this from? What's the source? Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Krav, Yomi Masechet Olav. It says by the Nazir that if the person dies beside him, so the person died beside him, that it's mashma, that it's known to him. It's a tumah that's known to him, but not if it would be to him unknown to him. For example, Ashkan Nazir, we found the source for Nazir. I said Pesach Minala, and how do we know by the case of Pesach? Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Kra, the pasuk says, "V'derech v'chayka lachem." It says if a person will be at a far journey and he will not be able to do the Korban Pesach. So the beginning of the pasuk says if a person will be tomei, is tomei from a tumas meis, or is in a distant road. So b'mechores lachem, meaning it's just like the case that it's a when it says that it'll be in a distant road. Rechayka lachem, it says rechayka lachem. So therefore, the case of the tumah, the first part of the pasuk, it talks about tumah, also says referring to lachem. It's known to you. The tumah is known to you. If you'll be in a b'derech rechayka lachem, a distant road, lachem, and the first part of the pasuk that if he's tumah from a mess, also lachem means that it's lachem, known to you. It's apparent to you. Rav Shimon Lakish Amri, he says a different mashma is, he says, well, it says Tomei and it says Derech. Kiderech, we compare the two. It's like a derech. The case of the tumas meis is like derech. Ma derech begoloi, just like a road is in the open, it's revealed. It's begoloi. Av tuma nami begoloi. It means the tumah is revealed. It's out in the open. It's not tumas tohaim. Meisvei, how can you say we learned it out from these psukim? Ezehu that tumas tohaim. How do we define tumas tohaim? So the Bryce says define it. Kol shaloi hikirba echad b'seifa oilam. It's a tumah that no one is aware of it. Even at the end of the earth, nobody's aware of that tumah. Meaning, as the Gemara, we'll see later, in the Gemara, what it means to say is that it's likely that nobody knows about it. I mean, it's not that we have to determine that absolutely nobody knows about it, but it's likely that nobody knows about it. But hikar ba echad b'seifa oilam, but if even one person is aware of that, ain't that tumas tohaim, then it's not called tumas tohaim. So therefore, the kasha is as follows. He says that we learn now from that it's from a nazir that's mechuveres halav. So then it really depends on the person himself, the nazir himself. It shouldn't be dependent on other people where other people know about it. It should be dependent whether he knows about it. So adiyahu, should be adiyadahu, where he's aware of it, or whether he's not aware of it, but not dependent on whether other people are aware of it. And Rav Yochanan says we learned it out from Pesach that it says that it's mechuveres, that it has to be something that's apparent to you. So therefore it should be ad mechuveres lachem. It says that's in the plural, but ad the other betray. It should be that at least two people are aware of it, not just one person at the end of the world. It should be two people. And Rabbi Shimon Lakish Damar Kiderech, and he says it has to be revealed like a road that's out in the open, like a road. On the other Kuliyom, it has to be something where everybody could be aware of it. So over here it says in the Brisa that even if one person is aware of it, so if we're learning out from these psukim, it should be either that the person himself is aware of it, or that two people are aware of it, or that it's out in the open that it could be known to everybody. But why one person? So Ella, the Gemara says, Tumas HaTayim Hilchsa Gemirla. It really is Allah L'Maishim Yisinai. Ukras Machta Ba'alma. And these psukim we're bringing down are a smachta. It's just a smachta from the pasuk. But Be'etzem it's Allah L'Maishim Yisinai. And the Allah L'Maishim Yisinai is mentioned in that way, according to this Brisa, that it's even if one person is aware of it. Amar Mar Baravashi Loishe Shonu Elishanoi Loyal Achazrik. That we say that it sits as maratza for the tumas tohaim for Nazir and Pesach. That's only if he became aware of the tumah after the zrikas adam was already done. The chi izrik adam shapri is dark. Because, and we say that it's maratza because of the time that the zrika was done. It was done by heter. he was not aware of any tumah, so it was done properly, and therefore this is miratza. But if he became aware before the zrika was done, lo miratza, it's not miratza, because at that point already he knew he was tamei, so it's not miratza. If someone finds a mes that's lying along the width of the road, so if it's lying around the width of the road is here and it's on the width, then it spans the whole width of the road. You cannot cross the road without being mal over the mess, without becoming tummy. So if it's such a case, then we say lit truma tummy. As far as truma is concerned, he's tummy, he cannot eat the truma. But l'nozir Pesach tor. But as far as Nozir Pesach, he's considered a tor. This is a case, in a case where it was not known to him, it's a tumas time, and he's considered to be tor. He's considered to be tor. V'chol tomei v'tor lahabo, and when we use a lashon of tomei and tor, we mean for the future tense, meaning that for truma he's considered to be tomei. He can now not, in future, he cannot eat the truma. In the case of Nozir Pesach, he's considered tor, and then you could do the avodah. So therefore, you see, it's in the future. It's referring to the future, not only after the fact. Ella, the Gemara says, itmar hachi itmar amar mar baravashi loy tema noida lo lachas rika udamaratza enchanan. It's the opposite. Don't say that it's only if he became aware of this after the fact, after the zrika was done. Aval noida lo lifnei zrika loy maratza. But if he became aware before the zrika, it's not maratza. No. Even if he became aware of it before the zrika was done, it also is maratza. It's also maratza. As Rashi explains later, that meaning it's maratza when he did the shchita, it was a tumas time. It was not known. So when the avodah was commenced, it was a tumas time. It was not known to him. Therefore, we say he can complete the avodah and do the zrika. And therefore, even if he became aware after the shchita, before the zrika, he can complete it and do the zrika. But if he became aware of it before the shchita, then it's not considered a tumas time. By the time the avodah, when the avodah commenced, when the avodah started, he was already aware of the tumah. It's not a tumas time. He finds a mess that's lying, and it's covered, expands the whole width of the road. So the more Brisa says, it qualifies that. That's when it spans the entire width of the road. There's no way to pass the crossover without passing over the mess. There's no gap, there's no space that he can walk through without him being mile over the mess. But if there is an area that he can pass around the mess and without being mile over it, after Truma Tor, we'd say that for Truma, he's also Tor. Now we're talking in a case over here with the road, so it's a Rishus Harabim. So Sofek Truma Rishus Harabim is Tor. So in such a case, it's a Sofek, and therefore, even for Truma, we would apply the principle of Sofek Truma Rishus Harabim, which is Tor. In the case of Nozir and Pesach, even if it's a Vadai Truma, but it's a Truma Satohim, it was unknown, it's still Tor. For Truma, we don't apply the halacha of Truma Satohim, but we do have the principle that if it's a Sofek, it's Sofek Truma Rishus Harabim is Tor. When is that so? When we say that even if it spans the whole width of the road, that we say that it's Tomei, that's when the mes is shalom, it's whole, it's not in pieces. Aval mishubar mefurik, but if it's broken or it's dismembered, it's pulled apart. So therefore, that means that there's a gap between the pieces, between the different halakim of the mez. Then tor, then we say it's tor because shema ben aprakim over, because again it would be considered a sofik tuma. Perhaps he passed through in a space between the different sections of the maze, and he therefore did not come into contact with the maze. Ubekever, however, if the maze is in a kever, it doesn't matter. We we say in any event it will be Tomei because Shekever Mitzarfud, because even if physically the mess is dismembered, but once it's in a kever, the kever, it combines it and it treats it as one, and therefore it's Mitzarfud, it joins it together, and therefore that whole area is Tomei. But Mandvar Mamurim, when it is said that he walks, if it's dismembered, that it's broken, that there's a possibility that he can pass through it between the Chalokim b'mahal b'ragel. That's only when he's walking by foot. Aval ton aroch of Tomei. But if he had a load upon him, a burden, or he was riding on an animal, then he's Tomei. Lefi shemahalach b'raglav efsheh shelo yigav v'layal. Because if a person is walking by foot, it's possible that he will walk between the space, in the space between the mess, and also that he will not be mile over the mess. But avalton or rachov, but if he's laden with a load or he's riding, it's impossible that when he's riding, there's not enough room to walk between the different sections, and certainly he will be mile. Or if he has a load, even though his feet can walk through, perhaps through the sections, but the load overhangs, and it will there overhang and be mile over the mess. So then he's Tomei. Pament for Mamurim, when is it said betumas hatayim? That it's only by tumas hatayim. Aval betuma yadua Tomei. But if it's a known tuma, it's known that he's Tomei over there, then he's Tomei. Then if we knew that there was a mess buried over there, then even if it's a Nazir, a Noisa Pesach, we knew that there was a mess buried there, then we say, then he's Tomei. Ve'ezehu tumas hatayim. What is a tumas hatayim? Kol shelo yikir ba echad b'seif ha'olam. It was not known even to one person at the end of the earth. Aval yikir ba echad b'seif ha'olam. But if one person knew about it, even at the end of the earth, then ein zu tumas hatayim. Further definition and qualification of tumas hatayim. Matzah tamum b'heaven ba'afar b'sreiras. If he found the mess, that it was covered under straw or earth or pebbles, that's a tumas hatayim because it's not visible, and therefore it's considered an unknown tumah. But b'mayim ba'afel milakikas loyim. But if it was buried in water, or it was in darkness, or in the cracks or crevices of rocks or boulders, ain't that tumas hatayim? This is not considered tumas hatayim, because, as Rashi explains, it is possible to see it. If he looks closely in these cases, he can see it. If it's buried, then he doesn't see it. But in these cases, if he looks closely, he would see it. And this din of tumas hatayim is mentioned for meis bilvad, and it doesn't apply to, like we learned previously, to ziva, to sheretz. It's by meis bilvad. Zok the Mishnah, nitma sholem oy ruba. If a korban became tomei, if it was the whole korban, or ruba, majority of it, then sarfin oisoi, it has to be burnt lifnei habira ma'aseh maracha. It's burnt before the bira, well, defined at a moment, and you can use the wood of the marach, the firewood from the mizbeach ma'aseh maracha that can be used for that purpose. If a korban becomes tomei, it has to be burnt. Maker adin, it has to be burnt in the place where it can be eaten. Now, korban pesach is koshim kalam. Koshim kalam can be eaten in the whole city of Yerushalayim. Nevertheless, as the Taisus really explains, there is a chumrah or machmir by the korban pesach to burn it dafka in the area of the harabayis. The bira, Rashi says bira means the Beis Hamikdash is called bira. There's a specific place in harabayis where they burnt the kodshim that were tomei, and the korban pesach, even though me'ikra din, it's not required to be burnt there, they made this chumrah to be burnt lifnei habira, but you could use atzei marach. Nitma miyuta, if only a minority of it became tomei, or noiser, or it was nicer, was left over till the morning, and it therefore is nicer, it has to be burned. Then they didn't have to be burned dafka bira. They were burnt in the private chatzeros or on the rooftops, but they could not use the firewood from the maharocha. They had to use their own wood. At Tzaikonim, and the Tzaikonim served in Oisel Lifnei Abira. Tzaikonim, the people who were very stingy and miserly, they didn't want to use their own wood, so they used to burn it in Lifnei Abira, and they used the Atzei Meracha. Bishvil Lehanes Atzei Meracha, because they wanted to get Hana to benefit from the Atzei Meracha, not to use their own wood, so they did it by the Bira. Practically more my time, huh? What is the reason? Why do we say that that Shalom or Reuben has to be burnt Lifnei Abira? Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina Kedei Levaishan. We wanted to embarrass the people that we say that the korban became tomei, all of it, the whole korban. Or if a ruba became tomei, it must be because they were not careful enough. So therefore, we wanted to disgrace them and to ensure that in the future they will be more careful. So therefore, we did it in a public place, the bira, so it should be apparent that people should see it, and they'll be embarrassed by it. So that's why we insisted that it be done dafka in the bira, in this public place. The Tzaikonim didn't have to do it in that way, but apparently it was more important to them to save a little bit of money than it was about their honor, and they used to burn it in the bira so that they could take advantage and use the Atzei Meracha.